Hello friends, and welcome. Today we are going to go back to the basics and learn the single crochet stitch. The single crochet stitch is the base for a lot of crochet projects. For this project, you're going to need some yarn. I'm using about a number 3 weight cotton. You're also going to need a crochet hook. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook today. So, first things first, we're gonna create a slip knot. A slip knot is usually the beginning of every crochet project. We're gonna start with the tail end of our yarn going off to the right and the body of the yarn going off to the left. Then fold the yarn over on itself to create a little loop like this. Then hold on to those two ends and turn the loop over to create an X. See the X? Then hold on to the tail end of the yarn, pick up that loop you've created, put your fingers into the loop, grab the tail, but don't let go of it with the other hand, just grab it with the first hand and pull it through. That's a slip knot. Let me show you again a little bit quicker. So I've got my loops. I'll turn the loop to create an X, put my fingers through the loop, grab the tail, and pull it closed. And that's a slip knot. This tail end will be hanging out of the work at the end, so usually I like to leave a longer tail. It makes it easier to sort of weave it into your work when you're finished. One more time, cross it over, put your fingers in the loop, grab the tail end, and pull it down. There is your slip knot. You don't need to pull it super tight like this. That will make it a little bit difficult to do the next part. You see how hard that is to move? We don't need it like that. So I'll just do my slip knot again, just like that. And you want it to have enough sort of give to pull your string back and forth like that. Now we're going to get our hook, and I'm going to insert the hook into that slip, just like that. Now we're going to create some chain stitches. Chain stitches are basically when you yarn over the hook and pull that little bit through the previous loop. We'll yarn over, pull through the previous loop, yarn over, and pull through the previous loop. Let me pull those out and I'll show you again. So I'm going to create my slip knot. Then I'll put my hook into the loop that we made. Then I'll yarn over the hook and pull it through the previous loop, yarn over the hook, pull it through the previous loop, yarn over, pull through. Each time that you pull it through counts as one chain stitch. So here we have 3 chain stitches on my row. I'm going to pull it back down to the first one, and we're going to do a total of 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There's 10 stitches. You can count the little loops to see how many stitches you've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 10th one is on the hook still. So, to begin the single crochet, let me zoom you in a little bit more. To begin the single crochet, we're going to skip that first stitch. We're not going to begin working into that stitch. A single crochet involves inserting the hook into the stitch, yarning over, pulling a loop through, yarning over, and pulling through 2 loops on the hook. The reason that we're skipping that first stitch though is because it is going to make up a single crochet just being a chain. So when you do an initial chain, if a project says chain 25 and you're single crocheting, there's going to be 24 stitches in the row. This first stitch is going to sort of disappear the stitch on your hook, that is going to disappear and become one with that first chain stitch. So we'll skip that first chain, and then for a single crochet, we'll insert the hook into the chain stitch, yarn over, so wrap the yarn around the hook, pull the hook through that first loop. Now you can see we've got 2 loops on the hook. We'll yarn over again, and we will pull through those 2 loops. That is our first single crochet. Now for our second crochet, we're gonna do the same thing. Into the next stitch, we'll insert the hook, we'll push it through, yarn over, so wrap the yarn around the hook, pull that first loop through that first chain stitch, then we'll yarn over again, and you can see we've got 2 loops on the hook. We'll pull that loop through those 2 loops. And there's another single crochet. In the next chain, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the chain. Into the next stitch, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Now, I want to talk about how I'm holding my yarn. We want to keep the tension of the yarn, that's how tight the yarn is. We want to keep that even, because if you change your tension, it's going to change the way these stitches look. You can see how nice and loose the stitches are here. If I keep my tension really tight, which is holding this string here really tight, I'll show you, if I do a few stitches where the stitch is really tight, you'll see how much it can change the look of the fabric, which is not really something we want. Can you see the difference? These 3 are nice and plush and squishy. These 3 are really tight and sort of smaller. We don't want differences like that. So you want to maintain a really even tension when you're holding your yarn. What I like to do is I like to have the yarn over my finger, so the yarn comes off the work and goes over my index finger, and then it goes between my index finger and my middle finger, and then I use my ring finger and my pinky finger just as sort of, not tight like this, just sort of guiding the yarn, and the little spot in your pinky right here, I use that as the tension. So it just sort of slides through there, but it has a little bit of a grip to it, and that allows the tension to sort of stay nice and even. So this is how I would recommend you hold it, but you can definitely hold it a different way if it's more comfortable for you. I know some people weave it in and out of their fingers like that to create a more even tension. Whatever is comfortable is just fine, but I find having it over top of my index finger and in between my index finger and my middle finger, like this, I find that to be the most consistent and comfortable for me. With my grip, the way that I like it, I'm going to continue with this first chain row. Insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And here I am at the end of my stitches, the end of my initial chain. You can see there's one more spot to put it. Our initial knot is right there, and then there's our first chain. So I'm going to insert into that chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. And there is our first row of single crochet. Now for this next part, we're going to be starting a new row. To get ourselves turned around, because we want to be working into the stitches this way, we're first going to have to sort of jump up to the next row. In crochet, the way that we do that is by doing 1 chain stitch. For a single crochet, it's just 1 chain stitch, and then we turn the work around. We'll do our single crochet normally, then chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to be working on row number 2. For row number 2, you can already see where we're going to be putting our single crochet stitches. We're going to be putting them right in the spot where you'll have a nice open hole. If you look at the stitches from the top, you can see these V's. I can hold it this way. You see how those look like little V's? We're going to want to put our hook so that both stitches from that V are on the hook. So we're going to want to put it so that both of those are on our hook. But if you're looking at it from the side we're working, we're going to be putting it into these large holes. In some stitches, you only use the front loop, which would be this one here. And in other stitches, you only use the back loop. But those are variations on the single crochet. For the basic introduction to single crochet, we're just going to go ahead and put it into both stitches. So insert the hook through there, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. Then we're going to insert into the next one. So stretch it out if you need to. You can see the hole right there. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull up that loop, yarn over again, and pull through both loops on the hook. Now we've got 2 single crochets in this row. We'll do it again with the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And I'm going to do that all the way across, the exact same thing, into the exact same spot on each of the stitches. Now I'm at the last stitch of the row. You can see the row ends right here. This is our chain 1, where we skipped that first single crochet. Now I'm going to insert into that last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And now at the end of the row, we're going to do a chain 1 and turn. For row number 3, we're going to do exactly what we did for row number 2. So we're going to start with a single crochet in that first stitch, yarn over, pull through both loops. If you drop your hook, just like I did now, you can either fish that little loop out of the space, or you can just pull your stitch back. If you pull it back 1 stitch, you'll have a loop where you can insert your hook again. That's something I love about crochet. It's really easy to correct mistakes. With knitting, it's a little bit more scary when you drop your stitches. So I'm going to insert the hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. There's 1, there's 2, insert the hook, wrap the yarn around, pull a loop through. Now I've got 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through those 2 remaining loops. I'm going to do that all the way across the row. Here I am at the end of that row. Now I'm going to put my hook into the last stitch. Also, you might notice that the last stitch in your row is a little bit snug. That's just because it's made up of a single crochet from the previous row. Nothing to worry about. Just fiddle around with it until you can get your hook into that stitch. Then, since we're at the end of the row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. There we go. Now we've got 3 rows. Now here's where the practice is going to come in. We're going to do a total of 50 rows, just like this. So we've made it through 3. Now we're going to keep going all the way up to row number 50 in the exact same way. I'm going to zoom through that part because I do know how to do the single crochet and I can just zoom through it. So that's what I'm going to do. And by the time you've practiced your 50 rows, you're going to be zooming through it also. If you notice that your edges are not straight, pull back a little bit. Pull back your stitches until you see a straight edge. You want to make sure you're counting every few rows just to make sure you still have 9 stitches in the row. Our initial chain of 10 ends up creating 9 single crochet stitches. So you want a row of 9 single crochets. All right. I'll see you when I get to the end of row number 50. And hey, if you're having any trouble with this stitch, leave a question in the comments down below. I check out all the comments, and we've also got a really great community who would be happy to answer your questions. So definitely leave a question, and we'll try to help you out. Here I am at the end of my 50 rows. Just gonna put my last single crochet into the row. There we go. And now we've got this nice little band of fabric. The total length of the band is about 10 inches by just about 1.5 inches, just a little under 1.5 inches. I'm gonna stretch it a little bit so it'll be about 1 inch, but it's about a 10-inch band of fabric. And you can see, since we made sure to count our rows, we've got a nice straight edge along this. So now we're going to turn this band into something useful. To do that, I'm going to start by folding it in half onto itself, just like this. Then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees so that our working loop is on the piece of fabric closest to us, and then the edge that we started is just behind that. What we're going to be making is a little keychain. To make the keychain, we're going to pick our loop, our working loop, back up on the hook, and we're going to insert the crochet hook into the other side of the fabric in the first stitch of the row. Just like that. Next, we're going to yarn over, and you can see we've got 2 loops on the hook right now. We're going to pull that loop through the 2 loops that are on the hook. And now that's starting to connect our fabric. We're going to insert the hook into the second stitch of the row through both pieces of fabric. So the second stitch on the front piece and the second stitch on the back piece. Then we'll yarn over and pull a loop through, yarn over, and pull it through the remaining 2 loops. So we're doing single crochets, but we're doing it through 2 pieces of fabric. So we'll insert into the next stitch on the front piece, and we'll insert into the next stitch on the back piece, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through both loops. Then we'll insert into the next stitch on the front piece, insert into the next stitch on the back piece, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. And we're going to do that all the way across this row to connect the band together. Here I am at the last stitch of the row, so I'll insert my hook into that corner stitch, insert it into the corner stitch on the back piece, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. Now we've connected that strap together. So now it's a connected loop. Now to turn it into a keychain, we're going to use both tails. So there's 2 tails on this side. We've got the initial yarn tail from where we created our starting chain, and then we've got the working yarn. We're going to use both. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a really tight chain. So we're just going to yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through the loop, but we're going to keep it nice and snug as you can. And we're going to create a chain of 30, 29, and 30. There we go. Now, by incorporating the tail, we don't have anything to weave in the end. It does make your chain a little bit thicker, but it makes it a little bit easier to work with. Go away, peekaboo. Go on. Okay, the next step is to reconnect the chain at the other corner. So we need to create basically a loop to connect our keys to the keychain. So we're going to connect that loop by inserting the hook into the first stitch on the other side of the keychain. So I'm going to do that by inserting the hook right into the corner through both pieces of fabric. This might be a little snug, but it'll work. Just keep wiggling it around till you get it through. There we go. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. Now we're going to turn around, and on this loop, we're going to single crochet into the hole 30 more times. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to put the hook into the whole loop, just right in underneath the chain. Yarn over and pull a loop up. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through those loops. Then we're going to put it back underneath that same loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And you can see we're creating little single crochet stitches here. So we're going to yarn over again, pull through the loops, insert the hook underneath the entire chain. So normally we would go into a stitch. For this part, we're going underneath the entire chain. Then we create our yarn over and we pull that yarn over up through the entire chain, yarn over again, and pull through both loops on the hook. And we're going to do that a total of 30 times, which should get us back around to the beginning where we started this chain. 29 and 30. Now you can sort of wiggle those stitches around just to space them out evenly. And now we're going to do one more single crochet into the corner where we started our single crochets, or where we started the chain. We'll finish with a single crochet there, And then I'm going to yarn over and pull a long loop through. Then with some scissors, just trim the yarn. Of course, I get my dull scissors. Trim your yarn and then pull that last stitch nice and tight, and then you can pull the tail through that final loop. Now, using a yarn needle, you can weave in that end so that there's no tail just hanging out of your work. And you can, geez Louise. And you can do that by just threading up your needle and then weaving the needle in and out of the stitches that you just did. Now let me show you how to use this as a keychain. If you've got some keys and they're on a ring, it's the easiest. You just insert that loop, the loop of single crochets, insert it into the loop of the key ring, stretch out the loop so that it's nice and big, and then pass the keychain part through that loop. When you pull it closed, your keys are now on the keychain. If you don't have a key ring for your keys, you just have a single key, you can do this as well with just a single key. So taking the key, the loop that we created, pass it through the hole in the key, stretch the loop out nice and big, pass the crocheted portion through that loop, and then pull it nice and tight. And now your key is on a keychain. So now you know the basics for single crochet. What do you think? Did you make a keychain as well? I like this little keychain. It's very simple, but it's also very obvious in your purse. You'll see a nice bright color and you'll be able to, you know, put your keys on there. If you want to add multiple keys to the chain, I do recommend getting a key ring. It makes it easier to attach multiple keys onto this keychain. But if you don't want to do that, you can just put on your key. Let's say you've got a keychain, or a key ring rather, and a single key that you want to put on together. Put both of them on the loop, put the little key chain crocheted portion, then pull it tight. Now you've got your key separate from your key ring. Just like that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below if this helped you learn how to make a single crocheted keychain just like this, or if it helped you brush up your skills on the single crochet. If you had any trouble, let me know in the comments as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll come back next week. Thank you for those supporting me on my channel. Here's all of the people supporting me this month. If you'd like to join the channel and support, check out the links in the description down below. If you'd like other tutorials for crochet, crochet stitches, simple crochet projects, and stuff like that, I'll also have those linked in the description down below. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!